Yes guys, welcome back to the channel. Today something a little bit different. I'm going to take you on a little bit of a walk and talk. I'm going to take you down memory lane and I'm going to tell you about my aspirations in my younger life of trying to make it and what it takes to be a professional cyclist. So if you're new here, my name's Carl. This is Pedal to Fitness. Let's get into it. So cycling for me started, I was 9 years old. I was doing mountain bike racing at Whipstakes Farm, and that was really where I got my first love for a bike. I then started to do road racing, although I was road racing to start with on a mountain bike, and I was getting absolutely beaten every single week. And that's when I obviously got my first road bike. So that's where the love of it began. 9 years old, racing Maidstone town centre criteriums, and well, I won my first ever race, which was that race, and that's where the bug for racing came, I guess. I transitioned from mountain biking to road full time, and yeah, I never looked back from that moment. So when I was at school, when I got to senior school, I also found a little bit of a love for cross-country running, and I was lucky that the school I went to really supported people wanting to be active, which I know a lot of schools don't. They're more academic, and they don't really want kids doing too much PE or games or whatever. So I was doing that, and I was running for Kent. And I always remember my cross-country teacher, Mr. Roberts. He used to take all the kids running. He loved it. He was a proper ambassador for sort of kids being healthy and doing well at sports. So yeah, when I got to about 14 years old, I had to make a decision. Do I want to be a top cross-country runner? I say top, do I want to be a good cross-country runner, or do I want to try and be a good cyclist? Because it was getting to the point where I couldn't actually do both. I was training 2, 3, 4 days a week on the bike at that time, and I was training 2, 3, 4 days a week at school cross country. So yeah, I made the leap to decide that, I don't know why, because running would have been a hell of a lot cheaper, but I made the decision that yeah, I'm gonna try and become a professional cyclist and have a go at seeing how that goes. So as I made the decision to try and be a professional cyclist, and that was the path that I was going to go, I ended up longing off the running. I didn't do that anymore, and obviously this is where my mum and dad really come into it, because I had super supportive parents. They literally gave up everything so that I could ride a bike, really. Yeah, so they bought a camper van that we could traipse up and down to Manchester every single week. We could go to all the national events, and the more that I raced, the more I really wanted to do it. And yeah, that's where it's really important that you've got to have supportive parents, because without them I never would have got to experience just 1,000th of what I did, travelling around Europe, and I went to Africa and I did races out there and everything like that. So I've got to say a massive thanks to them, because at the time you don't really appreciate it. You're like a 14, 15, 16 year old, a bit of a shit. You just sort of take it for granted. You think money grows on trees. You don't actually appreciate anything you get given or any help you get then, So yeah, I've got to say a massive thank you to them. So when I turned 16 years old, we made the jump that we was going to try and make the next step in the career, and that was obviously in national events. So I'd done national road races for, I think it was called BISCA at the time, British Schools Cycling Association, because British cycling back then didn't have any national events for, I think it would have been might have been under 16 at the time. So British cycling didn't have any events all the way back then, talking obviously 23 years ago. so we made the step up to them. So we was travelling all around the country, racing all of those events. And then I thought, right, we're going to have a go. Well, I think my dad thought we're going to have a go at track and see how we get on there. So back when I was 16, I managed to win the national pursuit, and I did get some medals in some other events, but the one that I won was the national pursuit, and that was like the pinnacle of the events for my age group back then. That was quite a big opportunity for me, and then it opened many other doors with British cycling, and that also led on to me being able to live in Belgium for a couple of years, racing for a team out there, and that was a real eye-opener. I mean, the racing out there is just, it's next level. It is just full gas constantly. But not only that, it's also, I was a 16-year-old boy, I didn't really speak the language, and out there at the time you had to stay at school till you was 18, so the rest of my teammates were all at school Monday to Friday, and I'd only see them at the weekend. It was a really tough time, and I sort of went into my shell a little bit, that part of my life. It was quite daunting being dumped in a foreign country, really. I mean, I wanted to do it, obviously I wasn't held against my will or nothing, but yeah, it's a big step for you to make, and back then I didn't have social media, I didn't have nothing like that, so yeah, it was a massive, it was a blessing and a curse. That it was a blessing that I got to do it and got to experience it, but it was also a bit of a curse that it kind of pushed me into my shell, and yeah, it was a bit too daunting for me out there, really. But it's something that I'd 100%, if I could go back and have my time again, I'd do it completely. It was an amazing experience, and obviously we was nowhere near the level of the pros of today, but being able to race on those Belgian roads, you know, Parve, it was an epic experience. It's something that, even if you can only go out and do it as a sportif or anything like that, you know, you can ride the Flanders, just get out there and do it. It's such an incredible experience riding on those roads. The rain, the wind, cobblestones, yeah, it was a wicked experience, and it's something that I'm really, really grateful that I got to experience. So I really appreciate everybody watching this video, and if you've made it this far, please comment, like and subscribe, because it really helps the channel. I really appreciate all the support and everybody watching. It's not gone unseen. So I suppose the next question really is, did I actually make it to anywhere near professional? Well, quite simply, the answer to that is no. I got to about 18, 19 years old, and I was still riding to a good level. Without sounding big-headed, I've realised now, 20 odd years too late, that I was actually a very, very talented rider. So I was lucky where I didn't really have to train to be good on a bike, but I needed to train to be able to go to that next level, and that's what let me down. I loved racing, but I'd always race myself fit, so I would never. I did have a coach, you know, I had a very, very, very good coach, very sought after in the UK, Dr. Richard Davison, actually, highly decorated doctor, you know. He's but you can only lead a horse to water, I suppose, and unfortunately I didn't have the want, the will, the desire, whatever, to do it. So unfortunately I didn't make it. However, I do wish that, being I was a bit immature, I wish that I'd have been more mature about the situation, and instead of just stop racing, stop riding like I did, if I could have just been more mature, thought about it a little bit more, and just taken a year or two out of racing. But instead I just literally went home one day after a race, and I just hung the wheels up, or hung the bike up, and that was it. I didn't ride a bike then till, I think that was about 2006. I didn't ride a bike again until about 2010 or 11, I think it was. And I got back on, and it's just one of those moments that dragged me back into the sport. I absolutely loved it again, and like I've said in previous videos, I've been on and off the bike before. I've done a couple of years on, a couple of years off. I'm really trying to find some consistency, because I think now as well, being a dad, I really want to encourage Ralph into some sport. You know, it doesn't have to be cycling, but I just want to lead by example that, you know, just doing sport, being outside is good. Well guys, that's a little insight into my past accolades, and like I said earlier on, a little trip down memory lane. I'm so proud that I managed to be able to do these things and travel around the world and meet some wonderful people, and I'm lucky that I had a really good support bubble around me, especially my mum and dad. So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit blessed that I can tell this story. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next episode.